on. So if you have been to any of our past webinars, you know that a lot of the time it's just us presenting something on the screen. But what makes this current webinar that we have a little bit more unique is that after some of the intro slides that I have here, we're going to fill up a really easy to use and to follow marketing plan that we had prepared and that we're going to provide to everyone also later. So yeah, just feel free to take screenshots, record, take pictures. Just don't forget to tag Huskee if you're going to be sharing it. Okay, so I really appreciate you guys. I see some very familiar names. I'm really happy that after how many webinars together, you're still tuning in. So that that means a lot to us. If this is your first time on our webinars, it's nice to know that this is an initiative under the Bounce Back Blueprint campaign that we ran recently. So right now we have over 300 people or 300 businesses rather with the blueprint. When we launched it around May, we didn't quite understand just how many or just how much it would mean to the businesses that we wanted to be able to help out. So yeah, we're wrapping it up, and I'm happy to say that as of today we have over 300 people or 300 businesses rather with the blueprint. So the Bounce Back Blueprint, it's an easy to follow framework to help you navigate through all of the uncertain times ahead. It follows the inbound marketing methodology. It's something that we've talked about extensively. And simply put, it's a set of strategies, guides, and cheat sheets to help you rebuild your marketing efforts. So the blueprint that we put together, it's actually the blueprint or the guide that we're also using at Huskee and for our clients. But at some point, we thought it would be really nice to be able to share it with other people. So this is what you're going to be getting on the blueprint. It's a set of 6 resources for you. The first one is a customer profile. The second one is a Facebook ads targeting worksheet. The third one is a set of marketing resources that we recommend to our clients and to other people. Fourth is a set of lead magnet ideas. Fifth is our favorite inbound marketing case studies. And then last, it's actually the presentation that we had when we first launched the campaign a month ago. Yeah, so you're still free to download the blueprint at any time that you want. So it's always going to be on our website. And if you want to be able to see anything else, just let us know, and we'll be happy to take a look. So we thought it would be nice to kind of cap off our campaign with one final webinar on the topic, before we move on to other things. And we thought it would be nice to kind of fill up the blueprint. When we first created it, we thought it was helpful enough. But throughout the last few weeks, there was clamor on a session like this. So we thought that it might be nice to end with a bang. Yeah, so again, over 300 businesses have already downloaded the blueprint. Feel free to take or get your copy if you haven't yet. And so thank you. It's been really fun. Okay, so the link is down below. Bianca should have shared it by now. Bianca, if you haven't, please share. It's just huskeedigital.com/bounceback2020. All right, so like I mentioned earlier, the inspiration of this webinar is being able to fill out the blueprint. And I thought that going through each one might be a little tedious, so we challenged ourselves to condense it into a really easy to follow Google slide deck that we're going to be sharing with you in a bit. So for this webinar, I want to just be able to explain the components of a marketing strategy, or at least the things that we as a team that we kind of look at. Second, discuss who needs to be involved in the planning, and then lastly, we're just going to jump right into it and answer the blueprint. Now, just a fair warning, I'm really not the kind of person who thrives when other people are looking at me work. So as I fill out the blueprint later, I might stutter a bit or I might get a little nervous. So just bear with me. People don't usually watch me work, but just for this webinar, I have to be able to show you guys how those things work. And so just a quick reminder, inbound marketing is about putting empathy first. It's really about delivering the right opportunities that have a positive impact on your customers. So I like those keywords as it means to power any marketing campaign that we have. Empathy and opportunities. You want to be able to empathize with your customers. Try to understand where they're coming from. Try to understand what questions they may have, and you want to be able to deliver the opportunities to have that kind of impact, to practice that empathy. And that's really what inbound marketing is about. And in the next few slides, you're going to see how that kind of works into action. It's not enough to just attract people to your website. Okay? You have to continue to help and support them well after they become a customer. And that's what inbound marketing really forces you to do. It's not a fancy strategy. I feel like it's something very intuitive, and it's something that should be a norm for most businesses. And yet we find ourselves having to have these conversations just because we feel like there isn't enough of that empathy going around. And so creating your marketing strategy is a contact sport. We can go over it in an afternoon, which is what we're going to do today. But unless you actually do it, and unless you do it consistently, you're really not going to learn. So I hope this just becomes the first step that you take in consistently iterating your marketing strategy. And if there's anything that we could do to help you out with that, just feel free to ask. All right. So, like I said in the in the advertisement, we're going to answer the blueprint or the template or the plan as if we were running it for a client. So, just as a case study, let's pretend we're all a new startup company that offers payroll and attendance tracking services to clients. So just to make it simple, we only offer those two services. It's a payroll and attendance tracking software. It's on the cloud, so it's a SaaS product or software as a service. And we work with primarily SMEs. It's just as an easy and a case study to follow. All right, so we actually have a surprise for you. We made the template available for you guys to use right now. So if you want to be able to answer it with me as we go along, so you're free to do that. Bianca, if you may, please just share the link here, or you can type it out. And then it should lead you to a Google Slides, which we uploaded already. And you're free to download it and answer it as we move along. All right, so let's just get straight to it. I'm gonna go answer the framework. Okay, so when you get on the Google Slides, you're going to see something like this. We put a previous slide. We put an intro slide there just to give you instructions. So that should be very clear. And we want to be able to help you build your marketing plan in 10 slides or less. Okay, so that's the goal. All right. So just a quick reminder, our philosophy is really built on inbound marketing. And we like looking at our marketing as a funnel. As a flywheel, like this, like the circle. We want to move away from the whole perspective or the whole point of view of looking at my customer journeys or our customer journeys as a funnel. Because with funnels, the mindset is after the customer becomes a customer and they pay you, and then that's it, right? They no longer become part of your business after they made the purchase, which is the wrong way to look at it. Customers power your success even after you've sold to them. So I've seen this with our business where our customers, because we try as hard as we can to service them properly and give them a great experience, that they become part of our business in the sense where they're giving us, referrals, they're giving us much needed feedback. They're willing to embrace some of our shortcomings because they understand that we're really committed to their business. And I'm sure if you audit your own marketing channels or your own marketing activities, you're going to find that a lot of your business is actually coming from loyal customers. So with this flywheel framework, it really forces you to put customers at the center, because you kind of understand now that if I make them happy from the very beginning all the way to the very end, it benefits my business in the long run, right? Their satisfaction becomes the driving force of my business, thus the flywheel, where the customer is at the center and it powers that flywheel to go round and round. On the next slide, you'll see some of the on the next slide, you'll see some of the activities that are part of each stage. Obviously, depending on where your customer is at that flywheel, you're going to have different initiatives or different campaigns. So it's nice to just be mindful of where your customers are at. If they're a new customer, or if they're just a prospect, or if they've already purchased from you before and they want to be able to purchase again. Okay, so before we start, just really quickly, I want to discuss what are the 4 components of a marketing plan. And to make it simple for you, you just have to memorize 4 C's: customer persona, competitor analysis, content strategy, and channel distribution. So you always start off with asking yourself, who is my customer? What do they look like? Where do they live? What do they think like? And then you want to be able to look at your competitors. Okay, you look at all of the options that your customers have. And then you ask yourself after, okay, how can I educate and inform my customers about my products or my services? Notice that after competitor analysis, I didn't say, go straight to selling to them, right? The question is not how can I sell to them, it's how can I educate and inform them, right? That tweak in the mindset is very, very important, and it's very powerful. And then last, you decide where you're going to be distributing your content, right? So so again, if you have not yet, go to the link that we provided, and you're free to download the template and answer it as we as we go along. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. All right, so just a disclaimer. This template was really made to serve as a guide for your marketing strategies. Okay. We really just simplified this process, and it usually takes us more than an hour to do. Okay, so we tried to, so we looked at all of our strategy sessions, and we tried to condense it into 10 easy slides for you, 10 or less slides for you. But in reality, my team really does take more time than the 1 hour that we're going to be going over it. So it's just a guide, and this is no way a reflection of how we actually do our work. We really do take a little bit more than an hour to finish this. And another note is that this document should be an organic document. Okay, so you can add, subtract as you see fit. You can edit, iterate as you see fit. It should be a living document. It should be organic, meaning it adapts and it evolves depending on the new information that you get. It is by no means the Bible. I wouldn't say that. It shouldn't be like the law. It should be something a little bit more dynamic than that. So yeah, just a quick disclaimer. All right, game. So the first thing that we do is ask ourselves, who is our customer? And remember, sorry for the people who just chimed in, remember that we're answering this in the context of an HR, payroll, and timekeeping software company. So let's say that's our client. And then what I would like to do when we start off is, again, answer first, who is your customer? Now, to make things interesting for me, I tend to name them. So in this case, let's say I want to talk to Henry, the HR VP. I want to say VP for HR. Okay, so I'm talking to Henry, the VP for HR. It's nice to name them just because on a shallow level, it's very fun to name different different personas. But it's also nice, like later down the road, where we have discussions with the team, and it's like we're talking to a person, right? So what would Henry like? What would he like to see? Where would Henry want to be able to consume this content? So yeah, just to give you that perspective. And then we like to have like an age range, but just for this example, let's be a little bit more specific. So let's say Henry is 45 years old. He's male, obviously, and he's based in Makati. His office is in Makati, and so easy. Now, this is where I feel like a lot of brands and businesses get it wrong. That they stop with the demographics and they're happy to move on to the other steps. That is not effective, and that doesn't get you very far. So don't settle with just the information that we provided now. You want to be able to answer all 3 other parts that I listed down here, because as you're going to see as we move along this template, it becomes easier for you to draw ideas because you set the tone right at the beginning. So try to imagine, all right, I'm Henry, the VP for HR. I'm trying to look for a company like me, right? Let's say we're Huskee HR. Yeah, just for simplicity, Huskee HR. I'm trying to look for a service like Huskee HR. What are some of the discomforts or problems that I may have, right? So, top of my mind, one of the things that I think of when I want to be able to do this is that I'm manually doing payroll, right? So I don't have any software. Henry doesn't have any software. Henry's doing it manually. So that's a pain point. I'm manually doing payroll at the moment. Okay, second pain or discomfort is I'm not sure if my team comes in and out on time. Right? Let's just say that. Right. So again, going back to the persona, I'm trying to imagine the picture of Henry, the VP of HR. He's going through this pandemic. It's very difficult for him to process the whole situation, and he has to deal with the fact that he did not invest in any software, or he did not push for any software. Right. So now he has these problems. So he has a pain point of, I'm doing the payroll manually, and I'm actually not sure if my team comes in and out on time. Okay. So after this, I like to answer the question, what do they hope to gain? So if they solve this pain point that they have, right? If I could give them, let's say, a magic pill right now, and ask them and tell them that if you consume this magic pill, your pain will disappear. What would that do for their life, right? What would be the impact it would make? Now, if you could be more specific, that would be great, right? Because it really helps to be more specific. So let's say, for example, I'm Henry, and let's say I have this pain, and I have to do the payroll manually. If I'm not doing it anymore, what can it give me, right? So it can give me, for example, it will let's say it will allow me more time to focus on training and let's say org development. Okay, so that's a great gain, right? Because if I remove the manually doing the payroll, or I remove that from my team, I have more time now to focus on training and org dev, or my team has more time to focus, right? So that's what I'm gaining, and that's what happens when this problem goes away. I gain this new thing. Okay, second, let's say I'm not sure if my team comes in and out of on time. If I don't have this issue anymore, I can focus, for example, I can focus on deliverables and productivity. Let's just say, okay. Yeah, so there, very easy. You think of a pain that they currently have, try to be specific, and then try to picture if they no longer have that pain, what would they gain, or what would they be able to do, or how does it change their life in a smaller, big way. Now, it's nice also very early on to try to imagine, all right, Henry, the VP for HR, what doubts would they have with my service, or Huskee HR? Like, what would be the questions that they'd be asking? So, okay, given the pandemic, let's say pricing. Pricing is a big issue, right? I'm Henry, and I'm already making very difficult decisions with HR and trying to figure out who has to stay and who has to be let go of. And obviously pricing is very important for me, that I need to be able to balance that out. So yeah, pricing would be an issue. Let's say pricing or payment terms. And then second, we can say reliability, or there's a better term for this. Let's say trust. Meaning, if I were to get a payroll provider in the first place, why would I get Huskee HR? Like, why not other competitors or other businesses? Yeah, so again, very general overview of how to lay out your customer personas. In the blueprint that we provided, there was also an activity like this. But again, just for this purpose of putting it all in one slide, this is kind of how we like to envision it. And these are the kinds of conversations that we have. Now, it's always a good idea to run this, customer persona bit to all of the major stakeholders. So in our case as Huskee Digital, the biggest stakeholder that we need to show this to is obviously our client. Why? It's important that they are on the same page with who we're targeting and what pain points we're working at. We've had this problem so many times in our past engagements, earlier on in our business, where we would always go back and forth with which content to do, who our target market was, only because we didn't make it very, very clear from the beginning that this is the people, or this is the person that we're targeting, this is the persona, and these are the pain points. I like to tell my team that it's really important that with any marketing strategy, you have anchors, meaning these are the things that we agreed on, and these are the things that will keep us, afloat when we have decisions to make later down the road. So if you can imagine, when you're making a decision on which content to produce, or which color to have, or which platform to be on, you always go back to the personas that you agreed on. And you say, oh, but Henry, the VP for HR, isn't on Facebook, or he isn't using YouTube. So why are we debating on this, right? So it's good to have that conversation. Now, if you're not speaking to a client, right, if you're doing this for your own company, I really would advise you to talk to at least two people and fill this up together. Okay, one of those people have to be the ones representing sales and the ones doing customer service or after sales. Okay, so as a marketer, your job really is to create leads and then pass them on to sales or pass them on to whoever is going to deliver the product or service. Okay, they have equal stake too, because whoever persona you're marketing to, they're going to have to deal with them in that sales or after sales situation. So it makes a lot of sense for them to give input also on what pain points come out during their conversations, or what things come out when they have their feedback forms. If your sales or your customer service departments or teams or personnel isn't able to give you this information, you have a problem, right? Because they are the ones involved with clients as well. And being unable to pinpoint what pains they're solving or what gains their customers are getting is a huge red flag. So I would look to that. And it's always nice to have different perspectives. As a marketer, I always see things differently. And then when I start talking to the sales teams of my clients, or some of the customer service teams of my clients, I always find myself really humbled by the information that I find out, and it makes me a better marketer, right? Because now I know from the top of the funnel, from when I'm starting, or the beginning of the flywheel rather, I know where to focus on because I get the feedback from people who are at the end of that journey. All right. So after you fill up the persona, it's nice to always look at your competitors. Now, I am not a fan of how some brands or businesses obsess over their competitors. I've been in a meeting where I've been in meetings, right? It's not just once. I've been in so many meetings now where the client or the prospect is just talking about the competitors and not talking about their business. Okay, it's nice to see what other competitors are doing, obviously, right? Because these are the options that you're fighting with, right? When a customer is choosing. But if you're spending so much time on your competitors and not so much time on your business, you're missing out. You're missing out. So I wouldn't spend too much time, and I wouldn't lose sleep over what my competitors are doing. And I would focus on doing what's good for my business. So when we do a competitor analysis, we look at two, just two. We look at others, yeah, sure, just for variety, but we only really keep close tabs on two. The first one being the closest competitor, and the second one being the aspirational competitor. So your closest competitor, these are the competitors that you're most likely going to lose to if your clients are looking at different businesses or different opportunities. They most likely resemble your services, or resemble the size of your team, or resemble the features and benefits, right? So that's a tough call sometimes with some industries, but yeah, I would pick your closest competitors, or the ones that most resemble your business. And then the aspirational competitor, these are the competitors that are a little bit more above you, right? I wouldn't go as far as saying, they're the top of the industry. I would look just a little layers higher than you, right? So if, for example, you had to be a company in 2 to 3 years, which company would that be? Like realistically, obviously, right? You don't want to take too you don't want to think too far ahead. Just the next 2 to 3 years, if you could be a competitor or you could resume that role of a competitor, who would that be? Okay. So after that, after you pick that out, you want to look at their positioning statement. So meaning, what are they marketing as? What are they branding themselves as? Right. So if you look, for example, at Jollibee and McDonald's, and you're trying to dissect how they're approaching their marketing, you're going to see that Jollibee, well, at the beginning, right, but now they're a little bit more diverse. But at the beginning, they were really focusing on the family aspect, right? They're the Filipino family fast food chain. Whereas you had, for example, the likes of McDonald's, where again earlier in their marketing, you'd see that they were focusing more on friends and on work relationships, and then the family comes after because it's hard to go head to head with Jollibee in the family arena. Okay, and then you want to talk about what are the key features of your competitors. Features are the things that your product does. Okay, and then after you talk about the benefits, so the feature is the product does this, and then the benefit, that's the feature, and then the benefits is, or the benefits are rather, what do the clients get when they have this? Okay. So for example, sorry, I can't see it because my Zoom is blocking it, but I put there, I should have put there. Wait, let me see if it's there. Oh, yeah. Oh no, that was a different slide. Yeah, sorry. It's for a different slide, but features are the example that I gave in another slide. Is features are, let's say for example, my iPhone has 128 gigabytes worth of space. That's a feature. And then the benefits are you can have 10,000 songs or 100 apps or let's say 1,000 pictures, etc. That's the benefits that I get. All right. So in this example, I'm looking at Sprout Solutions. If you guys don't know Sprout, they're one of the top HR platforms in the country. And I'm looking at Salarium, again, also payroll and timekeeping software. Now, just a disclaimer again, we're not working with any of these companies. I actually know people who work for some of these companies, and I can tell you they're both great companies. So nothing I'm saying here is just it's throwing shade on any of them because I really like them both. All right, so let's say my closest competitor would be actually Salarium. Because they offer just the payroll and timekeeping, which is my product. And then I have Sprout because they have like the full suite of services from recruitment to timekeeping and to I think also training and development. And then what I'd like to do is very simply put, I go to their website and their positioning statement should be front and center. So in this case, it's complete payroll software from clock in to pay out. Okay, so that's their positioning. I'm just going to copy paste it here. And then I look at their key features. Okay, everything you need to know. So I don't have to, again, I'm not trying to lose sleep over here. I'm just trying to gauge my competitors. I'm looking at, they have transparent timekeeping, they have effortless payroll, and then secure payout. So they're also featuring the things that I'm offering. So they have timekeeping. Sorry, what was that? Effortless payroll and payout. So payroll and payout. Okay. Those are the features that they have of their platform. Yeah. And then more often than not, they're going to have the benefits here. So for the timekeeping, they say they get to monitor your team wherever they are. For the payroll, fast and accurate computation. So that gives you time, speed. And then for secure payout, directly pay your employees anywhere. Or no need to go through banks. I like that better. No need through banks. Yeah. So now I have an idea of, okay, Salarium, my closest competitor, this is their positioning statement. Do I also want to say something similar, or do I want to deviate away from it? So, for example, let's say I'm Huskee, I'm wearing the Huskee HR hat again, and they're saying, oh, okay, Salarium says that they're the complete payroll software from clock in to payout. Do I want to compete with that, or do I want to claim something else? So for example, I could say, might be nicer since I'm starting out to find a niche that I can work with. So for example, I could be the the right choice payroll software for restaurants or for bake shops or for e-commerce stores. Could be different ideas, or in this case, I could just compete head to head if I felt like it. Okay, and then you do the same thing for Sprout. So Sprout, because they have a wide array of products. It's not just the payroll and the timekeeping. They're positioning themselves as the full HR the full HR platform. So the best HR platform made for the Philippines. Right? Very, very specific. And then same thing. They have some of the features that they're showing here again. So for them, it's HR management. That's the first thing that they're talking about. HR management. And then the features of their software also include timekeeping and attendance. Timekeeping. And then leave management. So for some reason, they think that's a great feature to have on their software. And then same exercise. You will get the whatever copy that they have here. So let's just copy this just for the sake of an example. And and you repeat that whole process. So again, nice to know where your competitors are at, because it's nice to figure out what or how they're positioning themselves, how they're branding themselves. What are some of the key features that they're saying, and then what are the benefits per feature? Because that allows you, almost two kinds of decisions. You either compete head to head and say, all right, I'm very confident with my features and my benefits, so I'd be more than confident to say that we also have like the really accurate timekeeping and you get to monitor your team. Or I can move on to a different direction and not focus on the timekeeping just because I might not be as confident about it, or that might not be a strength. Okay, and but the most important bit here is you don't spend too much time doing it. Okay, if not the website, you can also go to their Facebook page and then look at some of the pieces of content that they have. Right, so this is actually one of the things that I like to do more than checking out the website. Is I like to look at the pieces of content that they currently have. So because now I know what their strategy is. Because this is the this is just for me, but the features and benefits, this is not where I'm going to be building my relationships, right? These are sales functions or sales tactics that are the sales topics rather, that they're going to have with me once I reel them in. But my job as a marketer is really just to nurture those relationships, just to educate them. So it's very important to me to see what my competitors are saying and which kinds of content they're doing. Right, so I will look here. So I'd be impressed that Sprout is doing these webinars on HR topics. Same thing with Sedarium. I would take a look. They're also doing this. They have very likable content like here during the Last Dance. They're riding on that excitement with Michael Jordan. In case you also didn't know, I want to show you a nifty trick. So when you click page transparency, you're able to see all of the ads that your competitors are running. So I know that Salarium is currently running some ads because Facebook says that they are. So when I click go to ad library, I'm going to end up on this page where I see exactly all the ads that they're running. So I like to do this because I like to see what copy they're using, right? So it's the same conversation. It all goes back to here. What's their positioning statement, right? What words are they using? What benefits and features are they highlighting? So almost always they will highlight that on an ad. Okay, and the best part is I can even watch this ad, right? Oops. Yeah, so nice. Also, again, see, right? It's the three benefits and the features that they're talking about. Yeah, so this is my preferred method. I like stalking the competitors on social rather than the website. Because on social media, I get to see that full spectrum. I get to see the marketing bit, I get to see the sales bit, and I get to see the customer service bit. Right, so but again, after that, I will just take a look and then I will move on to the next thing. All right. So after you stalk your competitors, you look now at your own product. So sorry, this is where the tip that I was mentioning earlier, trying to look for it earlier. So you want to be able to list down your products and your services, and then answer it the same way that you answered earlier. So for Huskee HR, we have payroll and then we have timekeeping. So I'll put that there. And then I list down the features or the benefits that I want to tackle or to highlight. Okay, so I will put that down. Let's say for payroll, let's say our key feature is we have a mobile app for users. And then for timekeeping, let's say funny. Let's think of something witty. Let's say we have integrations with smartwatch or your smartphone. Just so that it's a little weird. We're a unique platform. Yeah, so we have that. Oops. And then we'll list out the benefits. Say for the benefits, users can check their payroll anytime, anywhere. We do that. And then timekeeping key benefits, the efficiency, and yeah, let's say it's techie. Let's say that's a selling point because you have like a bunch of millennials or Gen Z using the software. Right. So my key feature is for timekeeping, it integrates with your smartphone or smartwatch. And then for payroll, we have a mobile app version. All right. So if this is your first time to hear this term, high value content offer or lead magnet, allow me to just explain that very quickly. So a high value content offer or lead magnet is something that you use that you offer rather to your client, that will help alleviate the risk for your customers. So for example, when someone wants to hire Huskee, they typically have to engage with us in a 6-month contract. And for many businesses, especially now, that's a long commitment to have, right? You want to be more flexible and you need a little bit more cash, right? And it gets harder and harder for us to convince clients that investing in us for 6 months is worth it at the moment. A high value content offer or a lead magnet helps alleviate that risk for your clients or your customers, because they get to try you out or they get a glimpse of what you can do. Now, this is sometimes in the form of, let's say, free trials or discounts or a free consultation or like an ebook or a template, right? Where the idea is, all right, these products that I have and these features and benefits that they have respectively also, how can my clients or my prospects experience it without having to pay for it yet? Right? How do I give them just the right amount of knowledge about it so that when they use it, the end goal for me is they realize that, oh, right, yeah, this is a great software. Okay, so you could go about this so many ways. We listed a really extensive set of examples in the blueprint. You're free to download that. It's on the lead magnets tab. Right. Water break. Okay, so for the payroll, let's say this is our biggest lead magnet. It's a 30-day free trial. So it's a 30-day free trial of our app where they get full features. Right, so full features. So what I can do with this is, okay, I know that with this lead magnet, I can demonstrate the features and the benefits very clearly, and people get to experience the payroll product that I have. Okay, so I have a 30-day free trial. That's possible to do. For timekeeping, let's say we have a money back guarantee. Because it's not money back guarantee. Let's say it's not the biggest thing for us, or it's not we're okay with losing a little bit of money. Let's just say, yeah. So we have this money back guarantee if you sign up for let's say 3 months, for example. So we lock you in for 3 months. So what does that do? Or we could have like an asterisk here where it could be like money back guarantee for like just the 1 month because we don't want to give the whole 3 months back if ever. But yeah, that's the idea, right? Where you have this piece of content or you have a lead magnet, whatever that may be, for a specific product or a service. And again, the idea here, guys, is that it doesn't matter much what kind of lead magnet it is, right? So well, depending on some industries, certain lead magnets will work better than others, but um, that's just the means to the end. Okay, I wouldn't want to focus on just that. I would focus on understanding, all right, for my customer, for Henry, the VP of HR, how can I alleviate some of the risk? If you can do all of the risk, then great, right? So something like this, like a 30-day free trial or money back guarantee or anything like that, if they get a coupon or something, they can do that. But the bigger question is what I said earlier. How can I alleviate risk? Okay, how can I show value to my customers or my prospects, and give them that confidence that they need to make that purchase. All right, so that's very important. Yeah, so I will fill this up. I will have working ideas for a lead magnet, because again, that's going to come back to me in a few slides. All right, so after I finish the product knowledge, I start working on my content strategy. Now, again, there's just so many ways to go about this. There are so many schools of thought, but we like to make it simple and we like to base all of our content on questions, right? Because if you recall, going back here to the 4 C's, when we talk about our content strategy, we ask how can we educate and inform customers. Okay, so we all have questions. We're as human beings, like we're so confused about so many different things, and we're going to continue to ask a lot of questions. And my only agenda as a business is to educate and inform my customers. So I want to be able to start with that. Now, if you guys caught that, you'll see that I had listed down here what your pain point 1 and 2 is. So all you have to do is go back to your earlier slide and just copy whatever that was. Okay, so for pain point 1, it's manually doing payroll, and then for number 2, it's I'm not sure if my team comes in and out of time. Okay, so when you have these as your pain points, now you want to ask yourself, what are some of the what, how, and why questions that they typically ask around this pain point? Okay, so it doesn't necessarily have to hit that pain point exactly, right? Or it could be a topic around that could lead them to that question. Okay, so for example, here, just as a simple way of putting it, I'm manually doing payroll at the moment. So that's my pain point. I'm manually doing it. So what are some of the what questions I may have with setting up payroll? So for example, I could ask myself, or I could be asking, what does an efficient payroll system look like? An efficient payroll system look like, right? So let's say, for example, I've always just worked with smaller companies. I may not necessarily have the perspective of bigger companies. So I want to know, like, what does that look like? What am I missing? Or what should I be tracking? For my how questions, you want to show them how to do something. Okay, so this is, I'm going to give you an example. How to onboard a new payroll specialist. Okay, so when I'm looking at this first question, this is an example of a question or a topic that's directly related to that first pain point, right? It might be like a direct answer, or it might be a direct hit to that topic. But you might have some topics also that are not necessarily that hit that you want, but it's within that realm of things that they think about, right? So I want to be able to show them also, how do you onboard a new payroll specialist? And then my why question is, why should you say automate your payroll? Yeah, so we like using this framework, fairly easy to use. You look at a pain point that someone has, going back just to your initial answers, and then you ask what, how, or why questions. Now, I have a quick hack for you guys. If you don't know what questions to ask, or you want to be able to ask more questions, one of my favorite tools is called answerthepublic.com. So you guys can go to that now. That's answerthepublic.com, and then you're going to see this guy kind of staring at you. And then when what you do is you type in your business or your software or your topics here. So in this case, I had typed payroll services, and then this is the search result. So they actually have this really cool visualization tool where you see all of the questions that people usually ask with those keywords that you put. So in the Philippines, or you said it here, you said here Philippines. Yeah, so there should be a map of the Philippines here somewhere. Yeah, there. So you set it to Philippines, you type it, and then you're going to get this. So these are some of the search results that come out when people type payroll services. So if you like the visual aspect, this is great. So you can click, oops. You can click the Y that should have appeared here. Oh, no, sorry, it's here. When you click the data, so yeah, this is the visual part. You can click the data and then you can just see it broken down in those questions. So how, when, where, what, why. Okay, so all of these really nice questions, and they have this cool thing that if you can download the image. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you can download the image, and then you can see how strong those questions are. I mean, sometimes you'll have like questions like this, like how payroll services, but more often than that, you'll have like the nicer questions like how do payroll services work. Now, this gives you an idea of what questions are being asked. Now, the caveat here is it might not necessarily be Henry, the VP of HR, asking those questions, but it becomes a nice reference point for you also, because now you have some basis of what questions are actually being asked. And more often not, these are questions that if not Henry is not asking himself, it could be someone in his team, or it could be something that he's throwing to his team. Okay, so I will do the same thing with that timekeeping. And in another example, what I like to do also is like I like to type out that why question and then the services that I have or the topic that I have. And then you'll see also this. You'll see what other questions that people are asking. Or if you go down to the bottom, you see all of these topics as well. Okay, so these are really nice because this makes creating content for you easier because you're starting it off with a question. Yes. So I will fill that up, and then this becomes again the basis of my content strategy, which I'll explain more in a bit. So before you proceed, you have to be able to expect the friction. Let's just accept it. We will always have people who doubt our products or our services, or if we're the right fit for them. That's always gonna be a problem. And I feel like if you're not prepared to answer those objections or to shed light on those objections, you're going to lose opportunities to educate your customers, number one. You're going to lose an opportunity to nurture that relationship. And then number three, you miss out on a prospect. Okay. So again, going back here, you just you just pick out the doubts that you set up. So here I said pricing, just put that here, pricing. And then I had said reliability also, or fit. Okay. And then what you want to do is imagine again that process. And so side note, this is where it's really nice to work with your sales team. Okay, so because if you're not directly talking to your customers in the feature benefits level, you're not going to understand what some of the doubts are. And this is really great because if you're able to answer those doubts from the very beginning, you save everyone some time. Okay, so if I was a customer of Huskee HR and pricing was such a deal breaker for me, I don't need to be marketed to. So I have a fixed price already, or if I have a way of looking at how I think they should be priced. And if this is communicated to me earlier on, it saves us both time. It saves us both the time because I already have my doubt cleared, and it's not a good fit. All right, so let's say for example, pricing and payment terms. So if I were Henry, the VP of HR, what are some of the objections that I have? Let's say for example, payment terms might be bad during COVID situation. Okay, so that could be one objection that Henry has. Another objection could be this: I don't want to pay per user. For example, I don't want to pay per user. I want a fixed fee. I want fixed fee. And then last, OC. Make this not bold. All right. Third objective could be I could be just, I don't know what I'm paying for, or what I get. Right. So if you're ever heavy into sales, into marketing, I'm sure you understand when I say that, like, 'cause a lot of people have, when you're purchasing something, your customers will always have an objection, right? You don't get all customers to buy from you right away. There's always something that they're talking about. So it's nice to listen to what those objections are, and then you can make a piece of content out of it. Right. So for example, here, a piece of content could be flyer detailing, let's say, our payment terms, because actually we're pay per use, or we have really nice payment terms during COVID, right? Another piece of content here for objection is, I don't want to pay per user. Our model is scalable, for example. Our or say why our model is scalable, or it could be scaling your payroll services, right? Because you want them to understand. I mean, like, the reason why you pay per user is because if you onboard 10 more people, it's easier to scale that versus, me charging another fixed fee. Okay, and so on and so forth. So what this does is, for your number 4 and number 5, is you create a bank of questions or topics that you could talk about. Okay, notice how I didn't jump into what video to make or what blog article to write. I started with the questions, because these are the important things to tackle first before you talk about how you're going to answer those questions. Okay, so in this case, so if you had filled this up, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'd have 12 kinds of questions, or 12 topics that you could talk about in varying forms. And so you will fill that up, and then you move on to the content repurposing. Now, usually you can use this one slide for every topic. Okay, so in this example, right, we said that this framework alone will generate you 12 topics, or 12 questions to answer. For the content repurposing slide, you just focus on one. So let's say, for example, let's say we stick with this question: why should you automate your payroll? Okay. Oh, and then sorry, going back to the lead magnet, where's that? I said here it's a 30-day free trial, right? So I will go back to my content repurposing, and I will put here, it's the 30-day free trial. So at least I know that all my topic and my content, the posts I'm going to be making, it's all geared towards getting them to do this. Remember, guys, and I think it was a really helpful piece of advice for me. Remember that when you're answering these questions in whatever form, video, blog post, or this is social media content post. Sorry if that was not, if you don't know what it is. Social media content post. It's just a graphic design post on Facebook or Instagram. Okay, going back to the advice. The job of the piece of content, guys, the job of your video content, your blog post, or your SMCP is not to sell. Okay? You would be a fool to think that after one video or one blog post, they're sold and they want to be able to purchase your product. I wish life worked like that. I wish content worked like that, but it doesn't. Okay? More often than not, your content only leads to that meeting, or to that inquiry, or to that next step. And your only goal is to get them to that next step. You see the difference? I'm not selling to them. I'm getting them to the point where I can sell to them. And I can only sell to them once I have that relationship going on. The problem is, many people create content with the intention of selling them in the first post, which I think is wrong. If you look at your own purchasing habits, I'm pretty sure, unless you're an extremely impulsive person, I'm pretty sure you almost never purchase something right off the bat. You know, like if it's literally the first time you saw this piece of content or you became familiar with this business, right? You almost always will not purchase something that first time. You will think about it, you will sleep on it, you will look at your options, etc., etc. So many things have to happen. Okay, so the point of your content is not to sell, right? It's to educate, it's to inform, and then get them to a point where they're ready to be sold to. Okay, and to make that thing easier for you, that next step for me is getting them to this lead magnet, right? Getting them to this high value offer. I'm not even trying to sell to them. I'm just trying to convince them enough to try the offer. You get the difference? And each step that you take, you alleviate the risk of your clients or your prospects. So again, in this example, I'm going to focus on the 30-day free trial. I'm going to answer the topic, the content, sorry, the question. Oops. I'm going to answer the question why you should automate your payroll. Okay, so if that's my topic, now I can build out my video content, my blog posts, and my social media post ideas. So say for the video, let's say I have a interview or webinar with VP of HR for ABC company. Okay, my topic is because I wanna subtly answer this question. Why should you automate your payroll? Okay, so I'm gonna do it in the form of an interview or a webinar. A blog post could be exactly just that. It could be why should you automate your payroll? Your payroll. Okay, so you could have a blog post about that. You could, or sorry, just to make things interesting, say 5 reasons why you should automate payroll. Right? So yeah, now you have a blog post idea. Second, you could have like a case study. Our client, let's say XYZ, saved, let's say 40% costs, for example. It's a blog post. You're talking about your a client. Again, subtly answering the question, why should you automate your payroll? You don't necessarily have to, be so direct and answer this like all the time. It should just be a basis for you to create some content. Now, the reason why we like structuring it like this is because we found that many businesses or many marketers actually don't have a system for coming up with ideas. And as a company that makes its money on creating ideas, it becomes difficult for us at some point to keep producing, right? And without the right kind of formula or structure in place, you're always going to be left confused and kind of lost, right? So having a framework like this really helps. So let's say, for example, for my social media post, I could have quotes from the last webinar, right? You see that a lot of people will have these snapshots of the webinar that they recently had, and then have quotes from there. And then let's say for my social media content post too, it could be the 5 reasons, right? In let's say graphic design format. So it could be the blog post that I created here, right? And then I turn it to one post each. That immediately gives me 5 different options, or I could have it in one post entirely. Now, notice again 2 things that I did here. Number one, I gave myself a framework to create topics at scale. Right? I can come up with so many different topics just by the one lead magnet and one topic alone. And then the second thing, and I think the most I guess essential thing when you're creating content ideas is the act of repurposing content. Meaning you already invested the effort in creating this webinar. How do you stretch that out that will benefit you, obviously, because you save up the time in coming up with new ideas, and you help your clients out, right? Because they want to be able to learn more or get a better understanding or get a smaller version of that. So repurposing is super important, and having again just an easy framework to follow really goes a long way. So we will do this slide for all of these different topics that we had listed down here. Like obviously I won't do all 12 in the interest of time, and just not in the right place to think of 12 things right now. But yeah, this is the framework that we use, and it gives you all of these different ideas that you can create for your content. Okay, number 7. We're almost done, guys. Almost done. Number 7, you check out your channel distribution. And I like pointing out 5 main aspects or 5 points of my business. So on the top row, you have your main hub, which is answering the question, what is the primary channel to distribute your content, and then what's the secondary channel. I like focusing on just 2. Okay, I like focusing on just 2 platforms. Unless you're a huge brand with tons of resources, it doesn't make sense to be active in every platform. Okay, it doesn't make sense. You're wasting time, and you decrease the quality of the content that comes out if you focus on a dozen platforms. So for most businesses, it's just great to focus on 2. Okay? So just 2 platforms. So let's say, for example, for my business, my main hub is going to be Facebook, obviously, because that's my preferred platform. That's where Henry, the VP of HR, is. And then second could be LinkedIn. So what this does is, again, if you guys recall the conversation that I gave earlier about anchors, it becomes clear to everyone where the main channels are, when you create your content. And, I feel like this doesn't get talked about a lot. Content marketing really is 2 things. It's the content and it's the distribution. Okay, you can't argue that one is more important than the other. You need both. Like, it's a yin and yang kind of situation where you need both for that balance. And any imbalance causes friction for your business and your customers. So consider the content. Obviously, take some time to come up with these topics and come up with something nice. But also think about how you're going to distribute it. And the working concept is you should just have a core 2 to 3 set of platforms, and then everything else should just be supplementary, or you're not even active at all. All right. So for your main hub, it's Facebook and LinkedIn. Again, core 2 to 3, and after that, everything else is just supplementary. And then I want to answer also, okay, for information, where can customers learn more about my product or my business? So I have my website, because that's where a lot of my information is. For my sales, where do people send proposals, or where do the sales happen? So let's say in our case, it's email marketing, because we want to be able to sell to them on email. And then customer service, it could also be email. Right. So again, now you look back at all of your content here. Right. So we had spent just 3 slides coming up with content ideas. And then you want to look at where you distribute those content specifically. Okay, so Facebook and LinkedIn. And again, you also want to consider the information, sales, and customer service part. Because why? Going back again to the very beginning, right, where we have the customer at the beginning, or sorry, at the middle of the flywheel. We need to picture our customers from start to finish. Okay, from the very first point where they engage with us, down to the very end where they become a client, they become a customer, and we continue to support them. And all of these content, if you guys think about it, these are questions that they may have all throughout, right? It's not far-fetched to think that once they become a customer, they no longer have questions about the platform, right? In fact, they might even have more questions or more things to bring up, because they finally use a platform, and because they're kind of figuring out, oh, you know what? I didn't know you could use it like this. I didn't know you could use it like that. All right. So you fill that up. You get, again, everybody who's supposed to be involved. You get them talking about this, and you answer it together. And then last bit, now you want to look at your Facebook targeting. Okay. So again, this was also part of the blueprint. We had a more extensive list of questions that you want to be able to use. But in this case, it's a simplified version. So again, just fill it up. Henry, the VP for HR. My pain points, I just pick one. Oops, where's that? Let's say I'm doing the manual thing again. So what this does for me is, when I put the pain point here, where's my features? Oh, there. My features and benefits. when I have it here, this becomes my anchor for copy or captions that I may want to have on my Facebook ads. So I have this, my features and benefits. All right. So after filling this up, I have my persona. The feature, the pain point that I'm looking at is manually doing payroll, and then the features and benefits. This is what I'm going to be focusing on. I can fill in some of the targeting measures. Now, these are the things that you input once you start targeting for Facebook. Now, unfortunately, we don't have time to talk about Facebook targeting or Facebook ads. I can actually spend a whole day talking about that, but and just for this example, I just want to show you some targeting measures that you could use. In case you want to know what are some of the things that you can use as targeting, you can go to wordstream.com. Bianca, if you can, please provide the link. And then they made this epic infographic with all of the possible choices for targeting. So all of the interests, the industries, life events, yeah, and they have it all here. So you just have to choose. Um, Choose what you need, choose what you want, and then you can put it here. So for example, let's say for Henry, the VP of HR, I'm trying to target people who are in the healthcare, healthcare, let's say real estate, and let's do other software companies. Those are the industries that I want to target. And then I will look accordingly for them here. So there should be a list here for industries here, correct. So you should see the services there. If they're not there, just feel free to swap it out. And then for educational background, let's say he has a master's degree, masters. Okay. Now favorite apps. Okay. Here's the thing. People don't understand that when they're doing Facebook targeting, you don't necessarily have to pick interests around your product. So for example, for us, for Huskee, when I run ads, I don't necessarily have to target people who like marketing. My clients or my prospects, they're not talking about, they're thinking about marketing 24/7, right? They're human beings with actual habits than just marketing. So I want to be able to target people that follow these kinds of topics. And you're going to have to remember, guys, you're going to have to remember, when you're targeting on Facebook, Facebook doesn't know that these people, Facebook doesn't know what your offline interests are. Okay? They don't know. As far as they know, they can only track your Facebook activity or which websites you go to when you click on the Facebook app. So if you think about it, right, not every Henry, the VP for HR, might be following HR content on Facebook, right? They could just, they might not even want to follow HR content. They could be following like personal financing or family related topics or fatherhood, so many different things. Okay, so don't constrain yourself to just thinking about topics that are around your product. Think about your persona and think about what they could be following or what they could be engaging in on Facebook. Okay, so say for example, Henry, I know that he's a Spotify user and he uses Grab. So I will have this there. Okay. For media news sites, let's say or topics that they follow. Let's say he likes following personal finance, real estate, real estate investing, stocks, perhaps, and like I said, fatherhood. Okay. So if not media sites, it could be topics that they're following. Again, you have a really extensive list of interests here. Don't constrain yourself, again, so stressing this, don't constrain yourself to topics around your product, right? Focus on the person. So for example, here, weekend activities, say for example, he likes to eat, so restaurants, let's say he's a bit of a sporty person, so sports or basketball, etc. All right, great. Yeah, so I think that's the most important piece of advice I can give for this part. People get so caught up with targeting for things that are around their topics or around their business that they forget that Facebook doesn't get to judge you of your offline activities, right? And unless you're engaging with content around HR, on Facebook, right, you're not going to see those HR related ads. Right, yeah. So like I promised, this is 10 slides. So not counting the intro slides, you had just done 1 to 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This goes on and on if you have more Facebook targeting that you want to use or you want to create more content strategies. But essentially, these are your core 8 slides. So some final tips. Iterate as needed. I like looking at our marketing plan as a living organic document. It evolves over time. You try out certain things, you get feedback, and then you change. That's how it works. But second advice, and I think it's related, you want to keep your eyes set on your goal. Obviously, it doesn't benefit you if you keep on changing the plan. You want to balance that out. I like the mindset where you're stubborn with your goals, but flexible with your methods. Okay, and just taking it from someone who does marketing for a living, I can tell you that plans change all the time, right? Just these last few months alone, I had no idea that I had to steer the marketing initiatives of my clients through this pandemic. So you want to be able to be really flexible. Now, third is you want to stick with the process. I like comparing marketing with health. Right? You don't lose 20 pounds overnight, and if you do, you know that it's not a sustainable thing to follow. Okay, you work on it every single day. You stay consistent with it, and that's when you get the results. Unfortunately, I still walk into meetings where the expectations are marketing activities or a marketing agency has the magic pill or the magic formula to solve the sales problem of a business. Now, believe me, if that were the case, I would be extremely rich right now because I'd be able to solve every problem of my clients. But that's not true. There's a process that we follow. More often than not, marketing is a bunch of boring systems and processes. But hey, that's where the success comes from. Is doing the small things repeatedly, excellently every single day. And then before you know it, you had lost that 20 pounds or you had gained that momentum that you want. And then last is ideas are cheap, guys. Ideas are so cheap. It's relatively easy to come up with all of these. I mean, yeah, it's going to take me an hour or two to fill up, but it's relatively easy. Execution is really everything. And if you don't spend your time executing, I think you lose. For my team and for our clients, at some point, we really just embrace whatever plan that we have, and then we move on and execute. Right? We don't try to spend so much time with content ideas or which channel to do or which persona to kind of figure out. Right? Agree on something, test it out, work on it, and then iterate as you move along. Because only with testing it will you see if it works or if it doesn't. Right? Only with testing it do you get better at it. So if you guys recall the conversation that we had earlier, marketing is a contact sport. Right? We could talk about all of the plays and all of the rules and all of the strategies, right? But if you don't actually play the game, you're not going to get anywhere, right? So, spend time here. Obviously, I'm not saying throw this all away and just jump onto the court, right? Spend time here, right? Get the right people involved, do the right kind of planning, agree on the same things as much as possible. But the most important part is execution. Okay, ideas are cheap. You can get them anywhere. You can be inspired easily, but turning that into action is much more difficult, and that's where a lot of marketers fall off. All right. So that wraps up our webinar. I want to be able to just show you some of the other webinars that we're having. So this is no longer related to the bounce back blueprint. We're moving on to other things. Next week, we're going to be talking about marketing automation. We'll answer the question, how can I nurture relationships and generate leads at scale? So we're going to show you some of the tools that we use and how you can use it for your business. Oops. I forgot to remove that animation. I'm so sorry. All right. The second event is learn how to say no. It's an event about prospecting and onboarding the right clients. I don't know about you guys, but I'm on the that side where I don't just accept any kind of client, or I don't just accept any kind of business. It has to make sense both ways. And I've learned so many things, being, in that journey of being a little bit more strict with our prospecting and our onboarding process. And sometimes saying no to opportunities helps the business more than we say yes. When we say yes. So yeah, yeah. Sorry, I just cropped this from a different slide, and yeah, it's moving. Oh, believe it or not, guys, I just did that on Keynote. I super love Keynote. Keynote's the best. All right, so last word on bouncing back. Since this is our last bounce back blueprint webinar, technically, we all lost something during this pandemic, in terms of economic opportunities. Um, at the beginning, right around March, April for me, I was at that stage where, I was so angry. This was supposed to be my banner year. This was supposed to be the best year of the company. We were on track to closing some of these big accounts, and having some of these really nice prospects on board, but we lost it. And what really got me, grounded again, was being able to look at the bigger picture and just accept that life goes on. And because it goes on, this is really not the time to be selfish. Okay, this is the time to rebuild, to engage, and to find solutions with your clients, with your customers, with your prospects, together. And we can all overcome this pandemic, this situation, with a little bit of kindness. And that's really what inbound marketing is all about. And that's why for me, it feels so easy to talk about, because I feel like kindness should be universal and should be the norm. It should be the benchmark. And yet, I see so many marketers, I see so many business owners that don't have the basics of kindness, of respect, right, of empathy. And I just wanted to remind you that this whole initiative was just a solid statement to that right now it's not the time to be selfish, that we can all benefit from helping each other and being a little bit more kind. So I'll leave you with this quote. It's written by someone really cool. Empathy is a marketer's greatest strength, and you just want to be able to give before you take. I've seen how that kind of mindset has worked wonders in my life, and the life of the people that I share that with. And I'm fairly, very certain that if you implement a mindset like this as well moving forward, you're going to see that come back to you and your business one way or another. Okay, so thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to send us a WOOF, or we constantly update our website with new content. So these coming days, you're going to see more content again on the website. So feel free to check that out. If you missed our past webinars, they're all uploaded on YouTube. We've also cut it down also to smaller bits, because I tend to talk a lot, and sometimes nobody wants to listen to a whole hour. So we have like these really nice snippets that we cut down, and we uploaded as well. So feel free to consume all of that if you need to.